Wait, are you on spring break?
I am on spring break.
Spring break 2024.
With kids, so that means
Nice.
I am dropping them off at daycare this week, which has been fun.
Oh,
But
nice.
spring break usually brings a lot of golf for me. It rained yesterday, so I skipped. But today I golfed. And if there's no one else on the course, I don't know if this is legal or not, if it's cheating, but I play 2 balls. I play a orange ball, and a white ball. And I keep both scores. So I basically play 2 rounds at once.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're playing as a single, but you're playing 2 balls at one time.
Yes.
Dude, that's kind of a life hack to play 2 games in one.
It is. Yeah, if there's no one behind me, I'm not going to kill anyone there. But today I'm playing, I won't say where so they don't kick me out, but I shot a 90 and a 94, orange ball 90, white ball 94. So I was pretty close. But what killed me for about a 6-hole stretch, well, okay, let me start on this. On a par 3, I'm about to hit, and it's a long par 3. It's like 210. So I can't hit anything 210 besides driver. So I'm about to do a 3/4 swing driver. And before I hit, the maintenance guy comes up, and since it had rained yesterday, he was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna go blow off the mud off the green so you have a better shot." It's like, my dog. All right, cool.
Okay.
So he goes up there with his leaf blower, and I just keep waiting and waiting. And he spends a good 10 minutes blowing it off. And he just waves me on like, "Hey, you can hit," and then turns his back, and I'm like, "Dog, I'm gonna kill you if I hit. Like, I'm not gonna aim for you, but that ball will find the back of your head. I promise."
Yeah, somehow, some way.
So I finally do hit. I leave it like 3 yards short of the green, just barely miss it. But then, I get a bogey on that hole. Okay, cool.
Not bad.
Well, I tee up the next hole. I drive, and then I'm about to hit it to go for the green, and then all of a sudden the same maintenance guy goes, comes back around and gets out. It's like,
it sounds like a prank, like you got pranked.
It was almost like that. Like, I couldn't believe it. So I wait for him to clear off 10 minutes, and now the guys behind me are like up on me. They eventually just play on through. Like, they pass me. I'm like, okay, I don't care. I already paid. I'm not skipping any holes.
Yeah.
So I hit. He tells me go ahead and hit after like 3 minutes. So I do, but I'm scared. So I leave it way short. I'm like, oh, gosh. So he probably ruined my score a little bit. Yeah. So this happens like 4 holes in a row. Okay. And so I'm like, all right. So I drive one. I'm on, what hole am I on? I think I'm on 10 or 11. And this is the last hole this happened on. And he's on the green doing his thing. I'm about to chip on. I chip on. I'm about 30, 40 feet from the hole, 40-foot putt. And it's sloped. It's a straight putt, but it's sloping downhill, if that makes sense. So I'm on the green in the middle, I'm on the left side, straight shot, but it's going to slope hard downhill. And so I get up to line my putt up, and he's just still. So I'm just waiting. He's like blowing it into me. I'm just like, this is a joke, right? This has got to be a joke. Well, he clears off the whole green, and I hit this perfect 40-foot putt, and it stops. I missed it to the left by that much for birdie. I was like, and so I yell, "Hey, just give it a blow!" And he goes, "Ha ha!" It's like, I was serious, dog.
Man, I mean, doesn't sound like a bad day though.
No.
90, 94, okay.
8 pars, no birdies, but 8 pars. Right. So I had a couple, like that one would have really felt nice, a real nice birdie. I had a chip in for birdie that I hit the flag, like a bounce hit the flag, bounced out, and then I left another birdie putt less than a foot away. So I'm getting real close to draining some. Good.
Man, if you're shooting for birdie and getting par, that's right on, brother.
Yeah, so 8 pars today. I'll log it in my log of 100 pars for the year. If I just keep hitting double rounds like that, it's the glory of teaching. I'm like, man, if I could sneak in some double rounds like that.
Yeah, I need to do that one day. I played Wednesday or Thursday with a subcontractor and then one of my coworkers. I had a 98, so it was okay. Right. It was a longer. It was like a 6,700 yard course. So it was a longer course.
I'm not a bomber at all.
Yeah, same. I was actually getting off the tee box pretty good though, more consistently than I have probably in the last 18 months.
That's good.
Like 2 years ago when I started locking in a little bit, I was striping it off the tee box and then could not hit the irons. Finally, I got the irons working and then couldn't hit the driver until really the last week. So we'll see if everything comes together.
I turned it on second half. I had to remind myself up and through on the drive, up and through, then down and through on the up and through, down and through. Just had to
Big
do
confidence swings were for me were just that helps things out. It's all about the confidence in golf for me. If I'm mentally just kind of like I'm gonna rock this thing, I'm gonna play a lot better. So
it's amazing. That Mamba mentality.
Speaking of Mamba mentality, has nothing to do with the NFL, but NFL free agency has not technically started. It's started, right? It's kind of like a weird period where they can't sign anybody until tomorrow at noon.
Right.
But it's like that early NBA free agency signing day where everybody knows what's going to happen already. All the deals are already made. It's just putting the pen to the paper kind of situation.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing I was reminded of was the when the NBA used to do like the waiting period.
I like the word moratorium.
Moratorium.
Started to use that. Yeah,
that's a great word.
I wanted to throw that one out there.
The moratorium.
I actually wrote it down and put a star beside it on my notes. So, we're in the moratorium, and a lot of crazy stuff going on. I got a big list I mainly just wrote them all down, but I have some of my favorites, and then I want to hear the ones that you like so far.
Yeah. So what are some signings you like? What are some that head scratchers?
The first two, well, my favorite one so far is Baker going back to the Bucks. I've always been a fan of Baker. I don't know what it is. I wasn't a big fan of him at OU, but I wanted to see him do well. And I felt like he had kind of like 2 good years with the Browns, and then it just kind of sputtered out. It wasn't working organizationally and with him anymore. And then he kind of had a throw in the bucket year with the Panthers and
/ Rams.
That pretty weird good game with the Rams, like 1 or 2 good games, wasn't it?
Yeah, he like got traded on a Tuesday and showed up and played on Thursday. It was something weird like that where he had 2 or 3 days of prep is all, and like, all right, let's do it.
And then still got in there and kind of balled out. But he's going to be playing with my boy Mike Evans, locked him in for another 2 years. And so I think they're going to do well. They won their division last year, right? So
yes, sir.
A couple years removed from winning a Super Bowl. That was with Brady, but they've had a, solid defense. That's my favorite one so far. And then the big, I don't know if I'd call it a question mark. It was kind of weird. Was the Saquon Barkley to the Eagles?
That one's definitely a weird. When he did the jersey switch on Instagram, he posted that. Like that one, looks wrong. It just looks wrong in the Eagles jersey.
That, and then for some reason, like in my mind, I don't know if he was more of like a pro style running back at Penn State, but for sure with the Giants, like the Eagles offense with Hurts, and if they still have Brown, right?
AJ Brown?
AJ Brown.
Yeah.
And then they got Devontae Smith. Like, they seem like they have like a 2 to 3 running back kind of offense where they're going to have 3 or 4 guys or 2 or 3 guys who have like 500 yards in a season. And they don't need like a full-time every down back.
They definitely have been more committed. They had DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell was one of the others. And
Gainwell.
Yeah, they're definitely more of a
Swift just signed with the Bears.
Team. So the Bears, he did. Yeah, the running back switcheroo has been just strange to me. Almost like I'm supposed to what?
I don't even understand the market now. Like, I think the last big contract I remember tuning into was Zeke's first big deal.
Right. But the running back one definitely threw me off.
Yeah.
because like everyone's gone now. Everyone's switching teams. Like the big head scratcher for me of the signings was Aaron Jones in Minnesota, because Minnesota loses Kirk Cousins. He just signed today.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
So a 1 year deal for $7 million.
Yeah.
Like you didn't bring Cousins back. You're not. I don't think you're going to contend this year. So what are you doing signing a 30-year-old running back to a 1 year deal? That just I don't know, man. That one just weirded me out a little bit of like, okay, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Extremely tuned into the Vikings, but I mean, they were 7-10 last year.
Mm-hmm.
They were in the playoffs 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, but if you lose the quarterback because they lost Cousins to Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, and then Cousins, I didn't realize he had a torn Achilles.
Yes.
And he's 36 years old.
Those are the two things that I think Minnesota did not want to guarantee a lot of the deal.
Yeah.
Which is, understandable, but also, okay, what are you going to do? And Atlanta's been missing the quarterback. Well, if you're a fantasy football player, as I like to proclaim, it's my
fantasy
trophy right there.
yourself.
As I fantasy myself, there. What is it? Who said it? They said an egregious misuse of assets was one of the things they were saying with the Falcons, because you had Kyle Pitts, who they didn't throw the ball to, Drake London, a top 10 receiver they drafted. Receiver they drafted didn't throw the ball to. Bijan, they put him in a weird committee for most of the season. It just seemed like they were not. Yeah, and then finally they turn him loose after the season's kind of over. And you're just like, okay, what were you doing the first half of the year? It seemed like their quarterback play was just trash. So I understand. I think it's an overpay. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I do too.
So that one's, I would say, not my favorite, but is most interesting. Just the fact also the Cowboys have signed literally nobody is
they had I think they signed a long snapper. I saw that.
They re-signed their long snapper. They didn't even sign him. They re-signed him. Like, what are you doing?
So for the Falcons, is this their first real quarterback since Matt Ryan?
Has to be.
Yeah, because he's only 3 or 4 years removed.
Yeah. MVP season, then went straight downhill. The signing I really liked. I liked Josh Jacobs to the Packers. Very similar numbers to
it was like
Aaron
a 1 year, $8 million deal, wasn't it?
I think they got him. No, I think they did 4 for $48.
Oh wow, that's a bigger deal.
Yeah. Hang on, let me see.
So he's going to be
4 for $48. It was the exact same deal Aaron Jones got 3 or 4 years ago, or something similar to that.
They finished the year 5-2 or something like that. Beat Cowboys in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got hot at the end. And they got younger running back. But the quarterback moves. Our boy Jameis with the Browns.
I saw that.
I like it.
That crab boy going out there to Cleveland. Hey, I like Jameis. I didn't realize he'd been with the Saints for 4 years.
I didn't either, because he started half the time. That's the thing.
Yeah, because was Drew Brees still there when he first got there? He
had to be, right? Because
I think so. First couple years, because he just retired. I want to see him do well. I think what's his face, Watson, is injury prone, and I think Jameis is just good to have in the locker room.
He seems like a guy I would love to have in my locker room, just because you never know what he's going to say. Is it going to be inspirational? Is it going to be weird? Is it going to be stupid? You're just like, now we're going to eat a W. You're like,
did you see the video of him preaching?
I did.
Or he's maybe
holding his kid.
He might just be testifying. I don't know if he's preaching.
Testify. There is power in the name of Jameis. Throw to the wrong team.
Sam Darnold to the Vikings.
They'll draft somebody.
I don't understand their team. Yeah, I guess that's true.
That's the only way that makes sense to me, is that's backup. They're got to draft JJ McCarthy or Penix from Washington. It's the only otherwise it makes no sense to me. like you were saying.
I didn't think about it like that. Tyrod Taylor to the Jets.
I'm sorry, I'm just imagining Justin Jefferson like as Sam Darnold throws another ball at his feet, just like
Oh yeah, no, I saw
starting
those.
to tweak out a little bit.
There was some snippets of Justin Jefferson like watching Sam Darnold walk to the huddle. It's like, oh man, who were the other? Oh, we didn't talk about Russell Wilson.
Oh my goodness, that guy.
You see that video I sent y'all on Instagram?
Or he's running backwards and
Yeah.
barely breaking a sweat. Just gotta put the work in. He's like the white mamba. If Kobe's the black mamba, he's like the white mamba.
Yeah. I don't. Maybe he'll be good for the Steelers. I mean,
can't be worse than what they had.
They've been 8-8 or 9-7 or 9-8 for like 10 years straight. They always find a way to have a winning season and make it into the playoffs.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't understand. And
I would love to hire Mike Tomlin as my coach if I had talent, because I'm like, man, if you can get that trash roster with diva receivers to 9-8 every year, you're pretty dang good. You're pretty dang good.
He's the longest tenured coach in the NFL right now.
Him and Harbaugh, right? Because like they've been at Harbaugh's second, but yeah, like they feel like they've been battling for a decade.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out who was coaching where sometime last week, and I looked that up, and his record was like 114 and something. I was like, man, I didn't realize he's been there for like 12, 13 seasons, something like that. So,
do you think anyone made a big enough splash to make them contenders? Like, do you think Atlanta's a contender now? Do you think anyone signed anyone that really, like Derrick Henry to the Ravens? Like, yeah, what do you think about it? Did anyone like move up a tier in your mind?
I think the biggest one for me, which he didn't change teams, was the Chris Jones going back to the Chiefs. I think they kind of signed up their Mahomes on defense. I mean, my favorite one, I think the one that, if I had to pick one that moved the needle, yeah, I'd either say Derrick Henry to the Ravens. I liked Joe Mixon to the Texans.
Oh, I did too. The Texans
he got traded there. I was big on the I liked watching that Singletary guy play.
He was good.
Yeah, but he now he's going to the Giants. So I
was about to say. And then the Texans signed Daniel Hunter, the edge, I think, who played for Minnesota last. So they're going all in, which kind of transitions, because I was going to say they got the young quarterback on the rookie deal. This kind of goes into the next topic of my research.
My
research project, my spring break research project. Let's see if we can share some screen here.
Do it.
Football share. Can you see that okay?
Oh, yeah.
All right. There we go. All right. So basically, I have a list here of the Super Bowl teams. See if you can highlight that. Can you see that? The Chiefs, 49ers.
Zoom in here if you can.
Zoom in more? You bet.
There you go. Boom.
All right. So Chiefs, 49ers, Super Bowl 58. Chiefs win 25-23. So then we have the list of the quarterback and then what rank they are as far as quarterback pay. Does that make sense? So
Absolutely.
Pat Mahomes, number 1 paid quarterback that year. Brock Purdy, number 67. And the star by it means, I put the star there, not the number 1 paid quarterback on his team. That would be Sam Darnold, ironically.
Wow.
And so, because we were talking about the other day, like you either need the GOAT or you need to really not pay that much for the guy. And those are kind of your options to really win. You either need to have the guy or
Peyton Manning or Rex Grossman.
Pretty much. Yeah. So I actually did the last 11 Super Bowls. I went back. So Chiefs, 49ers, Pat Mahomes, number 1 paid quarterback, Brock Purdy, number 67, not the highest paid on his team. Super Bowl 57 last year, Chiefs 38, Eagles 35. Pat Mahomes was the second highest paid quarterback that year. Jalen Hurts, number 67, still on his rookie deal, kind of like Brock Purdy. Oh. And also not the highest paid on his team. The one outlier I found was this year. Super Bowl 56, you have Matt Stafford, number 9 paid quarterback. But he was kind of in the same tier as most other people.
Right.
5, kind of like 4 through 10 was roughly the same. Rams 23, Bengals 20. Joe Burrow, he was still on his rookie deal, 19th highest paid quarterback. But remember, so why Burrow was 19th paid and Hurts and Purdy 67th. Burrow number 1 pick, Hurts later round, Purdy last pick. So as we scroll down, Super Bowl 55, Bucks 31, Chiefs 9. Tom Brady 6th highest paid quarterback. Pat Mahomes 32nd highest paid quarterback. Can you imagine having Pat Mahomes on a rookie deal?
Man.
Super Bowl 54, Mahomes 31, Jimmy G, because I didn't want to feel like typing out Garoppolo.
15.
15, yeah. Some more. Tom Brady back when he was on the Patriots. That's the other thing, too. Brady on the Patriots, you'll look, number 11, number 20, number 18. He never took top money, really, until he was with the Bucks. It was kind of crazy, but Brady 11, Goff 26. There's 32 teams.
You think that he regrets that at all?
Now that Kirk Cousins will make more money than him in his career, because Brady made,
potentially
nearly $400 million. So I think he did fine in life.
Yeah.
But the fact that Kirk Cousins beat him in salary is going to be something he takes to his grave.
It's interesting.
But yeah, Brady 11, Goff 26, Super Bowl 52, Nick Foles and the Eagles, number 47. He wasn't the highest paid on his team. Carson Wentz was higher paid. Tom Brady, number 20, Super Bowl 51. Here's kind of one of the outliers. Matt Ryan was 3rd highest paid. The Falcons lost to the Patriots in that epic comeback. Scroll down here, Super Bowl 50. Yeah. There's Peyton Manning there, and he's number 6. Now, I will say this was an outlier year because Manning was like the worst quarterback in the league that year. If you remember right, he had been benched.
He was game managing more, right?
He had no arm left, and really he had no legs. He couldn't throw the ball. He got benched for Brock Osweiler a couple times. Now, if you go back and watch the playoffs, I think it's a masterclass of someone who knows they're limited by their ability, but figures out a way to win. Like that was nothing but respect for that one. Cam Newton, number 15. Tom Brady in Super Bowl 49, 12th highest paid. Russell Wilson, almost said Westbrook, different guy, 53rd overall. Broncos Seahawks, Manning was 3rd, Wilson 53rd. And then Super Bowl 47, lights out in New Orleans, Ravens 34, 49ers 31. Flacco, number 16, Kaepernick, who they were still paying Alex Smith that time, he was 41st. And so what we're seeing, I took the averages, the winning quarterbacks, they're on average the 17.7th highest paid quarterback in the league, and the losers are on average the 30th highest paid quarterback in the league. So, I mean, I don't know what this tells us other than cheap contract or Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's like you got to have a tier 1, like a tier 1 of all time, or kind of just a run-of-the-mill, throw a guy in there.
Yeah, so when Atlanta signs Kirk Cousins with one playoff win.
Side note, but the fact that Mahomes and Brady have won 5 of the last 6.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Is insane. I just noticed that. Or I think it was 5 of the last 6.
Well, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Or was it more than that?
Well, they've been in, it was 5 out of 6, and then 6 out of 8, and then Brady and him have been in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the last. I mean, I was gonna say 8 of the last 9, but they played each other once. But yeah, they've basically been either one of those two guys in the Super Bowl basically every year for the last decade. Isn't that just crazy? Like, you had the 1 year Stafford and Burrow, and other than that, you either got Mahomes or Brady in the Super Bowl into perpetuity. And it's just so Kirk Cousins to the Falcons, it'll get them in the playoffs. Might get them a playoff win, which would be his second. But it's not going to, I don't know, it's not going to do anything for you. Same thing with, I mean, Baker's a little different because I think he signed for a little less money, but a guy like Baker, like you pay a guy top 10 money.
He almost last year would have been that guy. They won, I think, the first round. I think they lost the second.
They did, yes.
But if he would have made a run, then he would have been like he was on like a $2 million deal or something like that, a league minimum almost.
Yeah. The Russell Wilson deal this year is like $1.3 million, like the vet minimum with the Steelers. So watch out for the Steelers because they can add a lot of talent around the money. Because like Dak's making 60, Mahomes is making 50, and like that's why you don't re-sign Tyreek Hill. you gotta pay the quarterback. That's why you can't re-sign all these players that made your team great. It's like, or do you?
So that's interesting.
What I would do. So here's my takeaway, because I thought the Rams were going to do this when they drafted Jared Goff. Draft the guy, trade him, trade up, draft the guy, trade him, trade up, draft the guy, trade him. Just keep churning the rookie quarterback until you hit your Mahomes or your Brady. Because like with the 49ers, Purdy's not the guy. Like, stop it.
Yeah. Trade
him next year. Like, let him run his contract out and go to free agency, and because you can have CMC.
And you know what? That's an interesting approach. And just keep trying to draft the right guy. Or get somebody in a trade for cheap.
Yeah. I mean, the only one who got away with it, with like the trade and not having the guy, Matt Stafford, but he balled out that year, so it's hard to say he wasn't the guy that year. And then Matt Ryan, and that's hard to say he wasn't the guy that year because he won MVP. But everyone else was either super cheap, and you have a defense around you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Hey, defense wins championships.
Mm-hmm. That's why the 49ers are good. Been saying that.
And they also
been
have
up in here. Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
To COVID.
Happy anniversary. 4 years ago this weekend. Isn't that crazy?
I know.
The world shut down. Go Bear.
Go Bear.
The NBA.
Defensive player of the year that year shut down the whole league. Just blocked it.
So I had this thought come into my mind at some point last week about the play-in. And I think I've thought about this before. So there's 30 teams in the NBA. With the current play-in system, 20 teams can potentially make the playoffs.
Ridiculous, right?
That's 67% if you round up.
Hang on. Let me check my math. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous. I think there's too many teams can make the playoffs via this current play-in system. So I went on a rabbit trail. I got on Wikipedia and I read up on the play-in history, and I forgot about the way it was played in the bubble. Do you remember the way it was played?
Okay, you had 8 games, and then after the 8 games, that's how the seeding was determined, or something like that.
Close to that. There was 7 or 8 games, and then they took the standings as they were from the current point in the season. Once they stopped, you had your top 8, 9, 10 teams or whatever. The top 7 made it into the playoffs, and to be fair, if the 8th and the 9th seed were within 4 games of each other, they went into a 2-game playoff.
Gotcha.
So, first game, if the 8th seed won, they're in the playoffs. If the 8th seed lost, they have a second chance at redemption to play again.
Gotcha.
Which I think that's the way they should have kept it.
Just
they got into all these little tournaments. They wanted a play-in tournament at the end of the year. They wanted the in-season tournament, which I think was cool. It was successful this year. But my issue with the play-in is you can be the 7th best team in the league right now. And in the East, I think it's like an 8 or 9 game difference between the 10th seed. And then you can lose 2 games back to back. which whoever's the 7th seed, they're going to lose to the Miami Heat in the playing game.
It's the way
And
it's
then
the law.
let's say you go play the Hawks after that, you could easily lose 2 games, and you just lose 2 games, and you were 7 to 8 games ahead of them, and now you're not in the playoffs anymore.
Just kind of makes the regular season worth
It
even
makes it
less.
almost, yeah. And they wanted it to be worth more. They wanted teams to not be able to tank and have the opportunity to get into the playoffs, but
So what I think's happening too is like the guy whose jersey's behind you. Like last year, were the Lakers in the play-in? They were, right? Or
yeah,
they
they
made it.
they made it to, they won the 7th seed. So I think they were 8th, and then they won the playing game.
Yeah. So I think what LeBron's doing tactically is pretty brilliant. Like he doesn't care about the regular season. He just wants to make it in the playoffs. In the play-in, it's like I don't care as long as I'm in the play-in. I got to win 1 game. I got to win 2 games. He thinks he can figure out a way to win 2 games with him and Anthony Davis, which I mean I don't put it past him.
Yeah,
I think one of the greatest players ever and a perennial all-star should be able to win a couple games in a row if they need to. And so
right.
is he really trying hard all season? No.
Yeah.
They just need to make the play in. And then once you're in the tournament, he knows how to win. And so how do you feel like it's going? Like what would you want to just change it to 8-9 or what would you
I want to change
modify?
it back. I just want to change it back. I want to change it to either do away with it and go back to the old days where, Stuart Scott is talking about who's going to make the 8th seed. You're chasing the little counter the last 3 or 4 weeks, or go to the way that they did it in the bubble. I think that's better because then the top 6 to 7 teams are usually the top. They deserve to be in the playoffs, right?
For sure.
It's right when you get to that kind of 7th is a little borderline. 8 and 9, you're both kind of like, I don't.
Why are you even playing?
Why are you even playing? They're probably going to lose the first round, but at least give those two the ability. If you're in the 10th seed, and looking back at some of the, 4 or 5 years ago, sometimes the 10th seed was already in tank mode.
Right.
They may have been 4 or 5 games behind the 9th seed. I'm like, if you're 30 and 52, you don't deserve to try to get into the playoffs.
Right.
So that's my take. I think you stick with the way you had it in the bubble. They're not going to go back to the old way. They're going to keep a play-in system.
Too much money.
Yeah, too much money, and people would freak out if they took it away. But it was brought out of necessity because of the times back in 2020. I don't think they needed to make it what it became after that, but I think it's here to stay. So,
one change I would like to make, I don't like the fact that the division title doesn't really mean anything. I liked it better when ridiculous 3 seed was, you remember when the division winner would get the 3 seed automatically? Now it's been a while, but you would have, 56 win team be the 4 seed because in their division was a 60 win team. And
was that back in the 2000s?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like
I don't think I remember that.
When the Mavs and Spurs would always battle, and the Spurs would always be better than the Mavs, and the Mavs would be like 55 wins in the 4 seed, and then you would have 48 win probably not the Lakers. They were always great. You would have 48 win Trailblazers be like the 3 seed. And you're like, why? Why are we doing this? but like for me, I love the regular season, and I feel like they keep on expanding the playoffs to where they just don't make it worthwhile unless you're really gunning for home court. So in the top end, it is definitely a battle because you do want home court. But at the bottom end, it's kind of like, okay, I'm not getting home court. I'll sneak into the play-in.
Yeah, 4 through 10 is kind of even.
Okay. This year.
At least in the West.
In the East, it's 1.
It's like 1, 2, 3.
2 after, the Celtics are 9 games up. Golly. They're pretty good. They're pretty good, that little team from Boston. Those little guys.
Wait, so what were your thoughts on Luka's streak?
Yeah, so if you see he broke Russell Westbrook's 30-point triple-double streak.
Was it 6 games in a row? 7
He
games in a
did.
row?
He did 6 in a row, and he tried in the Chicago game to make it 7. Like, they gave him some minutes in the fourth, even though they're up by like 50. Like, they destroyed them. And this is not a criticism, because I think a lot of players do this. Luka does stat hunt, as does Russell Westbrook, as do many of the modern professionals. Like, especially if you're close to a triple double or something like that. Like, he's staying in the game for his extra one last assist or one more rebound, and that's fine. Like, I got no problem with that. I like to stat hunt too. If we're winning a lot, I'm like, I want my goals in soccer. But I it is interesting that he beat Russell Westbrook's, I keep on wanting to call him Russell Wilson. Don't do that. Triple-double record. When I feel like they are, gosh, I've never seen such different players on virtually every aspect. So, how would you describe prime Russell Westbrook?
Well, I'm thinking back, the picture I have in my head was they always show the clip of Westbrook playing Luka when he was like 16 or 17. Remember they traveled to Spain?
Oh, yeah.
And Westbrook at that time was just kind of like, almost say like a Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
Just like flying across. I went to watch them play the first round against the Mavs in 2016. And he's one of the first guys I ever remember like jumping and like looking like he's floating. So athleticism, obviously out the gym. And then always kind of been a little reckless with the ball.
Yeah.
But
a little bit.
Yeah.
Comes with the territory.
Speed and athleticism and hustle and working really hard. When Luka looks more like, I'm not going to say like a sloth, but he moves at his own pace.
Yeah.
He dribbles how he wants to. He's going to get to his spot. You know, he's got the
shot. Fake shot.
the typical
Again. Get the guy off balance. Go do a little roll
typical
layup.
European look. So the fact that his stat line is the same, if not better, you can't even understand it when you watch him play. You're like, I don't understand it. He looks like a 6'8", kind of tubby guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was tubby last year, if I can say
he's
so.
Cut down. He's cut down a little bit.
He's in much better shape, and it's showing record-wise, both his own records and the Mavs records. But yeah, it's just so they're the exact same position, but Luka's 6'8", Westbrook is 6'2", I want to say.
Yeah, he's probably 6'2", 6'3".
I couldn't remember off the top of my head. He's stuck somewhere between 6'2" and 6'4" in my head. Survey said 6'4".
6'4".
So, but he looks small on the court because he was just so trim, and also those guys are giants. But yeah, I completely agree with you. The guy would just jump and finish hard every time. Right. And I don't remember if you remember us talking about this back then. I didn't think his game would age very well.
I remember you saying that. You were like, the clock's on.
And he just it's interesting. He's adjusted into a bench role, and he's made plenty of money, so I'm glad for him on that. But because he never really shot the ball well.
Mm-mm.
And then once the legs start to go, you're just like, oh no.
He had that little pull-up jumper where he'd run as fast as he could to the elbow and do that thing,
just
but
stop on a dime. Crazy.
Every time he makes a three, you're kind of shocked. You're like, oh, okay. He looked like he threw that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Luka's game, I think, will age well. I'm just calling that now. I'm going to go ahead and call that the one of the two best players in the NBA is going to be pretty good for a while. I'm here for my bold takes. I took the 2 number 1 seeds to win the men's and women's tournament, and I'm going to take Luka Doncic to be pretty good for a while.
One of them got in a fight this weekend.
Dude,
You see that?
incredible. Yeah, not bad.
That girl's big, man. I saw
He's-
that
I'm gonna lose to
LSU
all those
girl.
girls.
I would too. I saw that girl. I was like, man, I hope she never pushes me.
Angel Reese looks like she's gonna just. If anyone says something wrong to her, I'm like, oh my gosh, don't talk to her.
Yeah,
There-
just don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, Luka the man. Luka gonna be alright.
He's gonna make it. I think he's gonna make it in this league.
I think he wins 2. He's
Two.
kind of got a. He reminds me not of. I don't know why, but I was a big Ben Roethlisberger guy when he was first getting drafted. I could see their careers being similar. Nope, none of the personal stuff, but I think he won 2.
Yes, 2 Super Bowls.
I have Luka in my head. I think he wins 2 championships. I think he stays in Dallas the whole time.
Gosh, I would love that.
Yeah.
And the new management, I still think the coach should go. But the Mavs have been good, so they've actually been playing centers at center. They keep on doing the whole kid keeps on doing Maxey at the 5 and then benching Gafford and Lively, and they just get shredded. But
yeah. Keep Gafford in there. I'm
yeah,
big on him.
Dude's
I love
good.
him.
Dude's good.
Hey, Jason Kidd's a good coach, man.
Okay.
He lost some weight this year too.
Did you see Mike Bibby? Were you there at the Big 3 tournament with me? When Mike Bibby was jacked?
I don't know if I was at that one. Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing him jacked on the Big 3. He kind of had Sammy Sosa vibes. Like, was he changing shades as well, like colors? He got like browner or something. Maybe he had like a spray tan. Maybe he had a tan going on or something.
It might be because it's his hair. I'm looking at pictures right now. When he's bald, he looks white. When he has hair, he starts to look a little darker. But yeah,
I can still vividly remember walking into my game room in the house I grew up in and watching the Sacramento Kings play. I think in the finals. Was it the finals or the conference finals?
Conference finals. They never could get past the Lakers.
Beat the Lakers, right? Yeah.
Right.
I see him and I was like, hey, is that guy white? My brother's like, no.
No, stupid.
He just looks white. I was like, man, I needed another role model. All I had was Jason Kidd, who was also not white.
There's jacked Mike Bibby.
That's him, yeah.
Well, I remember him being a lot thinner than that.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite teams to never win, was those Kings teams. I hated the Lakers. I love Shaq. I hated Kobe at the time because he killed us.
Too. I hated Kobe until probably his last championship. I was the same way with Brady. I hated him until his last 2. And then you get to the point where you're like, I got to root for dominance.
Don't go dominance. Exactly.
I got to root for go. You start to see the end coming near and you're like, I have to appreciate how great this person is.
Yeah.
And how much they want to win. That's insane.
Part of me too I wish Kobe, I don't know if I wish Kobe, I would have liked him earlier because I think part of not liking him made me pay attention more and just like, like the feeling of inevitability as he is just burying you and you're like, we're losing this game. Like that's the haunting side of the other side of Jordan and Kobe. But dominance is something that really intrigues me with sports because you have billions and billions and billions of dollars spent every year in sport. You have thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of athletes and student athletes. I hate that term. But you have hundreds of thousands of athletes trying to get to the peak of their sport. And yet, one guy, one girl, one person is the best. And there's no explanation for it. So you look at Mahomes, and what brought this on was
Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt.
Yeah. And I'm like, how the heck? Some of it, Usain Bolt, he has some height advantage. Michael Phelps has had those freak, like, super long arms, but skinny waist to where he was just a missile in the water. Mm-hmm. But like a guy like Mahomes, like everyone could throw the ball hard. Everyone has the same defenses.
He can launch the ball.
But I think all the quarterbacks can. Joe Flacco could throw it 80 yards.
I'm trying to think of the difference. It's like a perfect combination. You have the genetic makeup of an athlete. You have the discipline to work hard, talent, discipline, and then you also have, there's kind of some sort of backstory. Usually there's a backstory of like trauma. Or like Jordan's case, Jordan was like fighting his brothers and stuff. But yeah, there's something. I don't know how to explain it either. I don't know if it's explainable.
There's some kind of so part of what brought this on was the Formula One. Do you pay attention to Formula One at all?
Somewhat, just because of
the track there in Austin.
I
follow the standings. My brother and I loved drinking Red Bulls growing up. So the fact that Red Bull has an F1 team, we follow that. And so Verstappen, it's already over. They're 2 races in. The season's already over. Verstappen's won the first race by like 22 seconds and the second race by 23 seconds, which is like ungodly times when they're going 180, 200 miles an hour. The season's over. He's already won. The Red Bull team is going to win I forget what it's called, but like the team event, because they keep on finishing 1-2. And you have one guy who's way better, and then one team, like the second place guy is his teammate. One team's way better. And it's like, what is it? Why is Jordan always winning championships? And like, and it wasn't like he was just dominance. He was a legacy stealer. Does that make sense? Like a legacy crusher. Oh, yeah. Well, Malone didn't get any. Stockton didn't get any. Barkley didn't get any. The only reason Hakeem got any was because he retired for those 2 years.
A couple years he was gone.
Yeah, and so I don't know what it is that maybe they just love crushing other people. It's not just they win; they love to annihilate other people, or what it is that, because Mahomes is doing the same thing. You know, if you look at, and Brady did the same thing. Purdy going to have no legacy. The 49ers no legacy because Mahomes beat him twice. The Eagles Jalen Hurts thing. Well, they're about to have to sign him to a big deal. Are they going to? I think they're going to have to blow it up. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. You know, the guy.
Allen was what I was thinking.
Legacy crushed. The guy would be in 3 Super Bowls by now if he hadn't run into Mahomes every daggone year.
Right.
So I don't know. There's got to be some kind of something that explains why one guy, one team is just the guy.
You know, I was thinking about that. Funny enough, not in regard to this, but on the way to work this morning, I was thinking about the reason, because I love to compete myself, and you don't get to compete athletically as much now. And sometimes I think my body and my brain just kind of misses that, because when you do get back into an opportunity, you're like, oh, now I'm locked in on this. But here's what I started to think. It's really a survival thing, because at the core, and this is going to sound a little crazy, but for you to win is for you to not die. You think it's me or them. And I think it's built into that. It's a strong survival instinct. Like Jordan, I wouldn't want to get in a fight with Jordan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he takes that into the basketball world. I don't think Mahomes is that crazy, but he could be.
I think you're on.
Steph's definitely. I mean, that's why, like we say, he's a killer. He's a survivor, bro.
He loves the hunt. He loves the kill.
Yeah.
You're right. So I was thinking about it now that you mentioned that, because there's 2 guys that I'm reminded of. Luka Modric, the midfielder for Real Madrid, who's still playing at 37.
Nice.
He grew up, I read his biography, he grew up playing soccer during the civil war in Croatia, Yugoslavia area. And so they would just play soccer while the bombs were going off, and if the bombs got close enough, they'd go inside and wait it out and then come back out and play. And it's like, that's an escape for him. And it looks like he's still when he runs, it looks like it's still this like escape. He still looks like a kid. And then Ronaldo looks like he's desperate to play off, because he was born off an island off of Portugal. And so if you're on an island, you have to be good enough to play your way to get to the mainland. He still looks like, or when at his prime, I haven't watched him this year, he always looked like a kid trying to play his way off the island still.
I'm telling you.
I got to support my mom. I got to get off the island. So yeah, there is something, and that's why I think a lot of athletes come from these bad backgrounds. So it's like, I got to play my way out of here.
Yeah, there's something that was flipped in there at one point in time. Yeah, it's crazy. But I think that it has something to do with that. It kicks into ultimately your survival instinct, and you bring that into sport.
Guess we needed more trauma growing up to actually make it pro.
Well, I'll give it to my kids. So
pass that down.
Let me write that down. Make life traumatic.
Only for the athletically gifted ones. The others, just be supportive. They're 5'8". Be supportive. They're 6'2".
Yeah. Crush them.
Awards.
I didn't have a lot on it. I think I hadn't been big on the Oscars since ever, but really like the last 4. I think after COVID, like those award shows were so kind of forced that year. I was like, I'm not watching these anymore. But I tuned in the other night just because I was like, watch a couple of these movies. Let me see what's going on here. I'm also a guy who I usually wait until those award shows happen and then I'll watch the movies to see who won. I'm like, okay, now I'm going to watch it.
Now I know it's good.
But it was just funny to me seeing like the it's the theater kids from growing up that became famous and now they're all in the same room. So I think I get more intrigued by like the victory speeches and the way, like just watching the people essentially, like their responses when stuff happens. I think it was just entertaining to me because it's a little bit like, what the hell's going on here? Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? A weird amount of pomp and circumstance.
Yeah. And one of my coworkers was telling me, because we were talking about it Friday, I was like, hey, we got the Oscars coming up on Sunday. I was like, we're just kind of joking around. And he said that if you're a nominee, supposedly the like the goodie bag you get, have you heard about this?
I have.
It's like $200,000 worth of crap in there. There's like a trip to Hawaii and then like, I don't know, like a Tiffany bracelet, something like that. Like there's all kinds of crap in there.
Well,
like the goodie bag.
The resorts, there's like 4 or 5 different resorts or something like that, or at least 3 that someone mentioned that I read. But because they want the stars to go there, if Emma Stone shows up or all these other people show up, it's like a big deal for their publicity. So I can see why they do it. But yeah, I was like, well, wow, you made a lot of money on the movie, and then here's a couple $100,000 for showing up.
Yeah. I will say, Oppenheimer kind of cleaned house.
They did.
And then Poor Things.
Yeah, did you see that?
Quite a few. I didn't watch that one. That's the one I hadn't seen that I'm kind of interested in. I don't even know what the premise is. I just know it's like, I don't know. I haven't watched it. Did you guys watch it?
No, I didn't even watch Oppenheimer. I've been just so unmovied away for a long time. Okay, so it seems to be some kind of, it says, Poor Things, a tale of a Frankenstein-like surgical experiment conducted in late Victorian Glasgow. Started off as a short story, but quickly outgrew those constraints. So it's some kind of surgical something. I'm just like,
The one I did, the actual
film explores themes of personal transformation and breaking free from social constraints. Okay, sorry.
The best, what was it? The best short film, best live action short film, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. That's on Netflix. That's on Netflix. It's only like 37 minutes. It was pretty good. Me and my pops watched that at Christmas. Like everybody had gone to sleep, and that's a good one. I'd recommend it. It's interesting for sure. And it's Wes Anderson, so it's got like that. The different, whatever you want to call it, snapshots.
Okay.
So, hey man, let's make a movie and get on the Oscars.
Yeah, I want to get that goodie bag. I need a vacay.
Yeah, let's get just to get nominated. I mean, I wonder if you can tell them what to put in there.
Best original podcast starring two bros. Jason and Travis Kelce. Dang it!
I'd like to think. Who would you think first, other than your family?
God.
Nice.
Yeah, thank God.
Okay.
My wife. And Titleist for sponsoring me with all his Pro
Titleist,
V1s.
Cadillac. This is thanks Cadillac.
Thanks Cadillac. Thanks
We drive
Triple
you.
I'd like to thank Tiger Woods for always being there for me in my head. I'm about to shoot.
One last question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think is Russell, not Westbrook, Wilson, is he going to say Steeler country, let's ride? I got you on that one.
What? I don't know what he's going to say, but
Steeler country, let's ride.
Ride. Just everyone going, that's why they only signed him to a 1-year deal. Let's see if we can stand this for a whole year.
They're definitely going to go 5-12.
I think they're going to go all the way down. I'm going to say surprise division winners.
I would agree. The other surprise is going to be this. He's going to wear black Air Force cleats.
Oh.
Because, yeah, that's what they do over there.
How did the Air Force not trademark Air Forces?
I don't know.
quite understand that one.
They might have just got behind on it.
Darn
it, we missed that one.
We were fighting Gulf War I. They're like, did no one send that paperwork in?
White Air Forces? Why are we all wearing Skechers?
You looking forward to anything this week?
Oh yeah, I got a buddy coming into town Thursday. He's gonna stay here one night, and then with some other friends the rest of the week. Gabe Brown, I don't know if you know him. Shout out Gabe Brown.
Big supporter.
He's one of my Aggie friends.
Whoop.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing next couple days. Had something. Oh, here in 2 weeks, my pops is gonna come down, and we're gonna do we're gonna play 2 rounds of golf
in one day.
He hadn't been to my house, so he's gonna see my house, and then we're gonna play at that. We didn't play at the course. I always think me and you played there. We're gonna play that my home course. There's 2 different courses there, so we're gonna play one day, one the next.
So have you beaten your pops yet? I know he's a pretty good little player. Okay.
I beat him once.
Did you do the Tiger Woods?
I've tied with him once. I beat him last summer, and it was. Hopefully, he doesn't see this. If he does, Dad, I love you. It was an interesting moment. It was like quiet. It just got real quiet at the end. I was like, "Well, I beat you by 2 strokes," and he just didn't say anything. It was just quiet. I was like, all right.
Did you want him to say like you're a man now, or what did you want?
I wouldn't look at. I was scared to tell him. It's like, hey, I beat you. No, I played it cool. I was like, yeah, well, final score is this. I beat you by 2 strokes, and I think he was shocked because he was just like,
start the little rage shake going on.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna go.
Now, did he play poorly that round, or did you play just out of your mind?
I played well.
Well, yeah. I like that. That's good.
Yeah. So,
yeah, my wife and I get to be single on Friday because we're dropping the boys off. She's taking the days off. We're doing home projects tomorrow. Nice. And then we're going to the Pro Museum on Thursday.
Cool.
With Greg and Kristen and their kid. Cool. And then Friday, just us. Maybe we'll go golfing. We're gonna have brunch.
Yeah.
Go
hang out.
Back in our dating days together. So
who's watching the kids? Her parents?
No, the daycare.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah. She's taking some days off, and we'll hold the boys home one day. But yeah, we got quite a few home projects we're trying to knock out tomorrow, and then Yeah, just like gonna have a nice day to ourselves on Friday. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'll end you with this. I'll give you a interesting fact about the Perot Museum.
Ooh.
I may have told you this. So there's a building adjacent to that. I think it's the Salesforce Tower now. I helped build that. My
Ooh.
project manager, he worked on the Perot Museum. He was
Yep.
one of the project managers over there. And he was explaining to us when the architect came to tell them what he or she wanted the facade to look like, they literally grabbed a piece of paper, balled it up, and then stretched it back out and were like, this is what we want the outside to look like.
Wow.
So when you look at it on Friday or whenever you're going, Thursday, keep that in mind. It's a balled up piece of paper and then like flattened back out to where you can kind of see like the ripples.
It's so like subtle but brilliant. Like
Yeah. It's like make it look like that. They're like, okay.
sounds good. Sounds good.
Cool.
Crazy. Cool. Alrighty.
Peace.